2023 has been a year of significant global events that impacted politics, economy, and science around the world. Today, we will walk through the past 12 months, revisiting some of the key issues that impacted various aspects of our lives. Hello and welcome to Our Voices. I am Semenyi Shekoya and I'm joined by my co-hosts Orian Itangishaka and Ginny Niwa. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Wow.
New Year.
Another year is over.
And Happy New Year to our viewers.
Yes, Happy New Year to all our viewers.
Yes.
So, any regrets, any highlights of the year?
No, I'm always just thankful at the end of the year to be able to be, healthy and just still vibrant, working and taking care of my children and my husband. And so that to me is enough to just be thankful for. No regrets.
Jenny,
any
highlights?
Highlights, let me see. That was my year. My year was fine. Some people tried me. I kept my cool, so no, it was fine. No, it was fine. Health, everything.
Yeah. I think I don't have any regrets either. Everything happens for a reason. That's how I believe. So even passing through challenges, it's all for a reason,
it's
right?
Part of life. Yeah.
Exactly, it's part of life. That's how you learn, how you improve. So. No regrets, but the highlight for me was the summer when I saw my family and friends after a decade, and we had this new memory, and it was really I was overjoyed with that moment.
Vacations are always great, family vacations.
That's true. That's true. Well, as we come to the end of 2023, it has been a challenging year for many around the world, including Africa. While military coups in West Africa and continued conflicts in countries like Sudan threatened political stability, cost of living crisis and climate change shocks in Horn of Africa disrupted economies. A devastating earthquake that struck Morocco in September also killed nearly 3,000 people and left thousands homeless. But 2023 was a year that also marked the first Africa Climate Summit that brought hope, showcasing the continent's climate leadership on the global stage. Countries like Rwanda, Benin, and Gambia also eliminated visa requirements for African travelers to boost trade, investment, and regional integration. On this week's episode of Our Voices, we will revisit some of the biggest events we covered in 2023 and discuss key issues to watch out for in 2024. So let's start with events that captured your attention in 2023. I know we intensively talked about the coup in West Africa. So Orion, what do you remember?
On the political front, looking back on things that shook the continent on the political atmosphere in 2023, we discussed African women's voices on the anti-French sentiments, which triggered 2 coups d'etats in West Africa. Here on Our Voices, we also had interesting conversation about it. Let's take a look.
Hundreds of women protested outside the French embassy in Niamey, calling for France to remove its troops and military bases from the country. They banged on pots and pans, pretended to sweep and chanted anti-French slogans. Like recent coups in neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, the military takeover in Niger came amid a growing wave of anti-French sentiment.
Indeed, growing anti-French sentiments in that region. Now, ladies, do you think that France is to be blamed?
They for sure in the hot seat. And there's no coincidence. Most of those countries are French colonies. Right. So
I feel like French is partly to be blamed, not entirely, but partly, because since the end of colonization, French never really left. It's not only engaging these countries, it's involved in the political matters, in managing resources, in extracting resources. And throughout these years, people have only been getting poorer and poorer while, living in these rich countries.
That's right. Well, one of the reports, we've been covering this very extensively, and one of the reports, I had a woman who said, well, if France think that we're a poor country, then why are they here? It's as if, there's an unwanted guest that just doesn't want to leave. But we'll definitely talk more about this. I think that we need to really look at also when French says that they will protect their interest at all costs. What does that mean? I mean, the other countries like Burkina Faso and the other ones are coming together militarily to band together to say, if you attack this one, then we come in. So I think it's a very volatile situation.
And we don't have also one thing we shouldn't forget is that France military has been on the ground for decades, right? But you know, insecurity has only been growing. These extreme terrorism activity has been growing in these areas.
Right.
So
and then of course you add the element of, as you've mentioned, you know, the other countries coming in, China and Russia. You have the Wagner Group, and what is the role there? What are they saying? Are they standing by? Are they going to be called in to help? And so we really definitely should be watching this very closely.
I mean, in comparison, French countries, French colonies, and British countries, they're not developing at the same rate.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, as you can see in the beginning of that clip, we had women in Niger banging on pots. It's really rare to see women on the continent or anywhere to really voice their opinions when it comes to coup d'etats. Yeah. So in this particular instance, all those coup d'etats that were happening in 2023, women really came out and said, you know, this is where we stand and this is what we want to see happen. You know, despite the coup d'etats, I mean, nobody really supports, you know, overthrowing a government, but they're saying that, you know, justice needs to be served for the people of these countries that really need to see economic empowerment, and most of them are women. So
and the interesting part was how they came out, you know, having their broom, their pots, and showing, no, yeah, we are.
It's symbolic.
It's symbolic, very symbolic, and I really liked how they, you know, came out with mothers and.
Right, and also on the political front, I really appreciated seeing the different announcement that came from like Rwanda and Kenya in terms of visa-free entry. That's really impactful, and I think that we're going to see a trickle effect in many other countries. They've been talking about that for years, so we're going to look forward to that in 2024. More countries.
More countries. Well, let's move to Horn of Africa, which also where my region is from. I'm from Ethiopia. And as you all know, for the last 3 consecutive years, the region was hit by the worst drought in 40 years. 50 million people were directly or indirectly impacted by this drought. But when people were thinking this drought was almost over, another climate-induced shock, flooding, affected more than 2 million people in the region. And most of them, like over 700,000 of them, are from Somalia, others from Ethiopia and Kenya. And, you know, you can imagine this is a region that is constantly in trouble with, you know, economic turmoil, the COVID impact, the drought, and now this flooding, and also the prolonged drought that keeps occurring every 2-3 years. And because of that, now waterborne diseases like cholera is also, you know, causing a lot of days, and sadly it's going to continue. But on a positive note, you know, Kenya, you know, hosted the first Africa Climate Summit that brought all African leaders to come up with, you know, collective measure to mitigate and to adapt to climate change, and ask for, you know, world leaders to pay their share of the finance, right? So, you know, this is some, but also there was a Sudan conflict that is troubling the region. There is also Ethiopia conflict that is still going on. So these are some of the highlights from the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, and jumping on what you say about the African Summit, I would talk about, you know, high-profile leaders visiting Africa, which to me show that, you know, Africa is being at the center now. You know, people want to make meaningful partnerships. So it's changing. The world is changing. They're putting Africa, you know, in the center, in the forefront, and that's what we.
I remember the First Lady of the United States going to the village and talking to people who were impacted by the drought and the climate change, actually. And they were voicing like what they want the world to do. They wanted to be seen.
Right. And we also have Kamala Harris's visit on the continent as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even more female politicians this year, as we've seen much more of that. 2023 was very significant.
Well, definitely a lot to look forward to even in 2024. So we'll keep a look on those different topics.
We'll continue to review the year 2023, but now it's time for a break. We also love to hear from you on our social media platform about your highlight of 2023 and your expectation for 2024 in terms of politics, elections, economy, or other social and cultural events. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, and our handle is @VOA Africa. Don't forget to use the VOA hashtag, VOA Our Voices. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
Health, wellness, sport, beauty, medical breakthroughs. Healthy Living cares about your well-being. What are the main health concerns in Africa and around the world? Find out the latest on coronavirus. Connect with our experts and ask them questions.
How long does the virus stay?
Join me, Linor Moudou, in Washington, every week on Healthy Living, right here on VOA.
With our voices, welcome back. Today we are reviewing the year 2023. In addition to covering significant global events that impacted politics, economy, and social fabric in Africa, our voices also highlighted educational and health issues affecting women on the continent. We also looked at women's economic empowerment, their contribution for their societies in agriculture, trade, and other leadership positions, and discussed ways to enhance women's political participation. Our colleagues in VOA's Africa division have also worked on interesting stories and personalities, so we decided to feature them in our Your Voice segment. Let's hear from Esther Gidui-Ewert, who reminds us of an outstanding contributor of Africa 54, Paula Silva, who tells us about an ambulance driver in Kenya, Fatuma Alimasi on women in the diaspora talking about finances, and last but not least, Grace Alhali Abdu on a story of a Ghanaian woman's perseverance in life against all odds. Take a look.
There have been several women that I've spoken to, especially this year, 2023, but one that stands out is Margaret Dureke. Margaret Dureke was born in Nigeria. When I came to the United States 23 years actually ago, Margaret Dureke was one of the people that I interviewed. She was constantly on our TV shows. There was Africa Journal, there was Straight Talk Africa with Shaka Sali, there's Africa 54, it had different names anyway. But Margaret Dureke stands out. Why? Because she's a strong advocate for the African continent. She's a strong advocate for women. She's a strong advocate for young people that she would like to see getting all kinds of talents, especially being here in the United States. She really is an empowering figure for the Africans in the diaspora.
Well, several stories, not mostly related with climate change, but I need to mention one about a woman in Kenya. Her name was Batula Ali. She's the only driver at the refugee camp in Dahab, and she started a job a few years ago against the will of her husband and family, also the society. So she was also very mistreated at the beginning, but she had the willing to continue, and now she's the only woman driving an ambulance and helping women deliver babies on the way to the hospital. So it's one of the stories that I think remarks this year and also shows the strength of women around the world.
What I can remember this year, 2023, I was in a conversation with women in the diaspora, how our finance in the family, how we discuss about that in a family, and then we help back home. So in those conversations, my point was, before when we got married, we discussed about the finance, how we could going to help back home. It's not just when they call you, immediately you go to your bank account and then you take money out and help the family because it's your family. You have to go back to your man and discuss about that and see if the help is really needed, if it's really, really important to do it right now. We cannot just judge on when they call you, immediately you react. You have to see if it's about health. If it's urgent, you do it immediately, but you have to talk to your husband first. And if like you related to schools, you can help. But other than that, you have to make them wait and see that it's not a priority because they want it right now.
Okay. There was this woman we featured on Calabi. She's from Ghana. She was married for 35 years before her husband passed. And she said in 35 years, she particularly told a story of a day she went into labor. She had to cook beans that she was selling, take it to the market, sell it because she needed that money to pay her hospital bill. So that's one woman that inspired me. And she is saying that today all her children are university graduates, and she did that single-handedly.
Wow, I'm so proud that VOA has been on top of, all different women issues.
Yes, lots of women stories. We inspire each other. We inspire the women we talk about. They inspire us. So it's an all-around situation.
Yeah. Beautiful side of our job also to be those impactful women, and it stays with us. It sticks with us.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Our Voice, we also brought different issues like the booming wedding industry, if you remember.
Yes.
Wedding is a multi-billion-dollar industry in Africa, and women are empowered through different businesses, dressmaking, catering, decoration. And I remember like how the Nigerian wedding was so beautiful.
Yeah, and we talked about our own weddings.
We talked
the
about
drama that comes with it.
That's you, Oriane.
That's right.
On your wedding
drama
day.
that comes with it, the beauty that comes with it, the family. But yeah, weddings are definitely big on the continent, and it's a big, big business. And women are, making it. They're running it.
Yeah, and also we talked how social media also has, and we also talked about art for social change. We saw how art, musicians, poetry, artists use their talents to influence social change, to advocate for human rights issues. We also talked about poetry. We saw how different artists use their language, their skills, their dancing to tell the story of the communities they come from, to tell, to advocate for different issues that are, that need immediate change in their communities.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you remember Too Deep, the poet?
Yes.
She was so powerful.
Definitely deep. We were so inspired just being here and listening to her and how she put the words about, women on the train and, the description of, the connection between people. Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah. We also had some exercise in the studio.
Yes, we did. We did. I mean, I loved talking about women's health, pregnancy, that was also an interesting one when we got to really do some exercise in the studio. I almost fell down at one point, but but it was so good to really learn the techniques.
And she was pregnant. You remember our trainer was, and she was telling. She had a baby boy.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So hopefully she's going to come back with the baby.
I hope so. And how to take care of, your body after birth. Yes. I'm sure she's working on that.
And also holiday food. We talked about that recently.
Oh, yeah. That was, I think, that last week's show. It was, we had an amazing dish. We learned about African cuisine and African culture on how they celebrate Christmas.
Yeah,
yes, she was from Cote d'Ivoire. Yes,
and we loved having food on set.
Yeah, and her decoration, our studio was, remarkable that day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And digging into, the West African, we can say, the atike and the dish was.
I mean, it's also great to, just have the diaspora showcase the fact that they keep in their culture, being so far away, but the holidays bring us together, helps us to remember where we come from and the food we eat. So it was great having a chef from the diaspora and celebrate with us the holiday season. And hopefully today we'll continue the celebration with the little bubbles.
Yes, I can't wait to pop up this champagne. But before that, Jeannie, what was the highlight for you?
I like the sextortion. You know, it's such a different way now, you know, with the social media. So we saw how, you know, it can be easy, you know, for people to just like use you. So that was a very interesting topic. I also like the hair and, you know, how we could see that, you know, this new generation is actually making money, changing the way they're doing hair, changing the way they're advertising their business and, you know, doing great with that. So
yeah, that's another multi-million-dollar industry.
Yeah.
And exporting, importing from the diaspora, from the continent. Women are empowered through that business. And we also saw how some women are using, you know, those
leftover synthetic
hair to protect their environment. Yeah, that's one of the creative ways women engage in their communities.
Yes,
and
that was very...
Well, before we end our show, we want to also highlight one of the most remarkable women we had on our show for our Women to Watch segment. Wangari Kuria is the founder of Farmer on Fire. This is an organization based in Nairobi, Kenya, that provides access to information for farmers in Africa. With over 4 years of experience in this role, she has built a community of over 100,000 farmers. In April this year, Wangari received the Global Citizen Prize for providing access to information for farmers across Africa, as well as training and supporting women and single mothers in launching their own business. Let's hear what she had to say when we invited her as a guest on our show, Empowering Women for Climate Solution.
So first is to be bold, to work on their mindset, because women have been told by society to stay in a corner, to stay quiet, not to raise their voices, but we are telling them, have the audacity to say, I am here, I am visible, this affects me most, I am most vulnerable in this, and speak out. Number two is come up with innovations and showcase the innovation on all platforms. We are seeing a lot of accelerator opportunities, and we are asking women to turn out in crowds and apply for this as well. Push for government, for their government leaders, do something so that they are represented. They need to be proactive as well.
Well, she's really remarkable. I remember the energy she had on our show and the smile she had when she said, I'm a farmer on fire.
And that's what I love about her. Like, you know, just, you know, seeing her energy, you know, being somebody who inspires women as a woman, you really have to have that. And she has that, you know, the positivity, the passion, the fire. So I love Wangari.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Now we have a brand new year 2024 coming up in 2 days.
Yes.
And we are going to celebrate. We are going to pop up our champagne and say cheers to that. But what are your hopes? What are your inspirations? Any new resolution?
I'm going to be intentional in being happy. You know, they always say being happy is a choice, and definitely being happy every day, each day, no matter what, no matter if people try me, I'll be there and be happy. That's one of my resolutions.
Intentional, that's the key word.
Intentional.
Because, you know, happiness is, you know, you have to really decide to do. All right, well, I'll tell you mine once I pop this. Well, mine is going to be more about praying more, exercising more, drinking more water. So help me with those three.
We will. We'll be right behind you.
Mine kind of fits in both, because I also am into, I want to be, because I haven't been so far, into self-care, you know, mental and physical care. You know, we are journalists, and constantly we deal with a lot of news that can be negative, and that can be, you know, draining sometimes. So I want to be able to pay attention to my mental health, time for myself, read, you know, have that moment for myself.
You know, the opportunity for me, the opportunity to be able to telework helps with mental health. I'm able to focus on my work and myself when I'm teleworking. So to me, that helps. So maybe that could be something that you intentionally do when you're teleworking. But I think you're 100% right. As journalists, we take on a lot mentally.
Yes.
And we have to be intentional about taking care of ourselves. So cheers.
And also, can we celebrate us also? Our voices, our team.
And also,
a good year.
Our wonderful viewers, we love them and we appreciate them, and we're just thankful to them how you've supported us. on this journey and of empowering women, of being empowered by women, and hopefully, you know, you can give us more tips on what else you want to hear more on 2024, and so we can continue this journey, because, you know, women's voices are, you know, important and they need to be heard.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to say cheers to you know, the different women guests we had on the show, for being willing to come on our show, for willing to share their stories, their experience, and for inspiring other women who want to be like them or who want to learn from them. So, you know, cheers and Happy New Year.
Many of them show up like 3 in the morning in their time zones, and, you know, they accept to come 6 in the morning in their time zone. So that's really appreciated. We acknowledge that a lot of times it's, you know, it's a sacrifice, but, you know, once they realize that this is going to impact a woman somewhere on the other side of the continent or on the other side in the diaspora, they do come. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be on Our Voices.
We'll have more for 2024.
Yes.
Absolutely. We still want to, you know, talk about more phenomenal women, more inspiring women, more young people.
More beautiful guests.
More beautiful guests.
Yeah, different topics.
And different topics, right?
Yes, yes.
We still have a lot of issues women that concerns women. Yes.
And sometimes we think we've exhausted the topics, but there are way more topics. Every time we do a topic, we realize that there are, you know, another strings of topics. So I think our viewers online also help a lot in.
Well, cheers to all that. On that note,
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Well, that's where we end our show. Be sure to watch Our Voices on the VOA website at voaafrica.com and our YouTube channel, where you can catch up with the latest episode and the world's top news stories. We look forward to seeing you in 2024 with other impactful stories, and we will introduce you to more phenomenal women from around the continent. On behalf of my co-host Oriani Tangishaka and Ginny Niwa, our production team and the Voice of America, I am Simban Shekoyet. Thanks for tuning in and Happy New Year. Cheers.